magic of the blues. The blues scale can be your #1 go-to, fit almost anything, get away with musical murder scale. And it's super easy. Let me show you. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 very popular keys that just happen to have super easy finger patterns on the violin. Two-fingered patterns is what it will come down to. Skeeter coming on here. All right, so let's get right to it. And at the end, I'm going to show you how to apply them to 3 different tracks, 3 different kind of tunes. First off, improvisation. Why improvisation? One, it's fun. I really enjoy making stuff up. It's my biggest thrill. And do you have to be able to improvise to be a good musician? No, you don't. Of course, you can play classical pieces you memorized or fiddle tunes you've memorized. But I get a lot of comments from people through my website saying, man, I'm just so tired of memorizing tunes and having to remember them and having to go over them all the time to keep them fresh in my mind. Wouldn't it be just fun to just sit back and jam a little bit and make some stuff up and still play music and have the joy of music? Well, improv can do that. Now, of course, there's some styles that are totally based on improvisation. Blues is one of them, and jazz is another, which they say blues was first and jazz came from it. Some other styles maybe lean on improvisation pretty heavily, but you don't have to be able to improvise, but it sure is fun, and it sure is easy, especially if you start with the blues, which is like the grandfather of it all right? And what are these easy zone things you might hear me talk about elsewhere? Easy zones are the term I coined in my book, The Fiddle Jam, Way Cooley's Way to Learn How to Improvise, that represent these simple 2-fingered, 2-string patterns. And we'll get more into those in a second. So what are those? Well, let's get to it right now. What is the first easy zone? I found out that some simple, very common keys are open, 1, 3, skips the 2. Then open, 1, 3. That happens to be A blues. You put that on the A, the D and the A strings. Open, 1, 3. Open, 1, 3. It becomes E blues. So start on E. It's not an open string, but it's the first finger. Cool stuff right away. You put them on the top 2 strings, open, 1, 3, on the A and E strings, and it becomes B blues. Neat stuff right away, and super simple 2-fingered. The other easy zone that I've discovered in my teaching was open, low 2, 3. This one does start an open string. So say on the G and D string, open, low 2, B flat, and C. 3. Open, low 2, 3. No first finger. And again, 2 strings. Try it on the D and A string. That's D blues. On the A and E strings, it's A blues, another version of A blues. So A blues is the only key in the violin that I know of that has a double easy zone. Open, 1, 3 in the bottom 2 strings, and open, low 2, 3 in the top 2 strings. Pretty neat and pretty easy. Now, why did I come up with these? Well, for the student who's kind of improv phobic, or at least nervous about improvising, they think, I have to be an expert before I try improvising. No, that's a bunch of rubbish. It's a myth I'd like to bust and smash on the floor and stomp on. You should be improvising right from the start, I think. From your first day of playing, your teacher should have you make a little something up, even if it's just with a rhythm on 1 note. You should be creative all the time, in my opinion, on your instrument. And it leads to a healthy progression of learning. And then when you get more advanced, you can throw it in, you can do different things with it. Or you could do jazz or blues and do a lot with it. But let's get to these tunes. There are places to use improvisation and places to not use it. I mean, sometimes it's not appropriate maybe. I'm told that it's a lot of fiddle competitions, they kind of frown on you just jamming. They want you to play a tune and play it well. That's the competition part. But let's look at a fiddle tune. One tune that comes to mind for me in this subject is Clinch Mountain Backstep. I'll play a little bit. that A section melody there is nothing but A blues. A blues is A, C, D, E, G, and nothing but those. All right? And it would be nothing to just spice your tune up to jam a little bit of the blues scale at the end of the phrase. That's one thing you can do, just like a fiddle competition. You can throw it just a little bit in to be cool or to change it up. If you've ever gone to a pickin' party or a pickin' session in the bluegrass world where they play a tune and they kind of look at each other, okay, your turn, your turn, your turn. Everybody gets a turn making up their own version. Now, a lot of times it's not outright improvisation, but you put little touches of your own, and improvisation on a blues scale can do that. In this case, this tune is made out of the blues scale, so it's made perfectly for this song. So let's see. Melody. Something like that, whether it comes out right, and the beat, you just have to feel it inside. So that's the kind of thing you could do. You could use blues scales to spice up a fiddle tune. A second way you can go is actually say like in the blues. Now I'm going to give you tracks to try all these things too. Clinch Mountain Backstep track and one from my Fiddle Jam book, E12. Sounds like a vitamin, doesn't it? I meant it to be like that because blues is essential. Now I should point out this. In the blues, our first example, the blues is basically a minor scale, and the chords to that Clinch Mountain Backstep were minor as well, so they kind of fit together. But not always is it so neat and tidy in the blues, and that's kind of the beauty of it as well. I'll turn to the piano to explain this. In a normal 12-bar blues, a lot of times the chords are major, but the scale is minor. It all kind of rubs weird against each other. So let's check this out. So in E12, it's in key of E. Here's an E chord. You hear that? But the scale is flat fifth, this blue note in there. You'll see that in the chart too. Now by itself it sounds okay as the chord died out, but listen to these notes. There's the middle note of the chord, and there's the note in the scale. It's got this weird clash, doesn't it? But when it's flying by, nobody notices, and human beings seem to go, oh, that's cool. For some reason, we like that particular clash. The other one is the flatted fifth, the B flat. You'll see that in the chart as a blue note, actually. So that is definitely clashing against it. Hey, by themselves, it's just awful, right? But with those particular clashes, us human beings seem to like. So, in the straight blues track, you'll be getting used to hearing the minor scale against major chords in the background. So that's another thing. And you can stop right there and have a career with that alone if you want. Some people have. I mean, there's some people only know a blues scale and they only play the blues, and that's cool. You can go all the way to, the highest heights, Carnegie Hall, whatever, just with that approach. But there are other places to fit blues scales, of course, and jazz, as I mentioned, and stuff. I'm going to supply another tune, kind of a John-Luc Ponty-ish tune, based on his tune, what was it, Sunset Drive. We'll call it Moonlight Drive for our purposes. This is not exactly his song, but I'm in the style of. And this one we have to point out something new as well. The idea that, which classical musicians know this easily, relative, major, and minor. As you may know, the classic example is C major scale. It's the same as A minor scale. Why? Because they share the same exact notes. They just have a different tonic note. But the same thing exists, which most people don't think about too much, in pentatonics. So a blues scale is actually a minor pentatonic scale at its essence. And we think of the blues, the minor blues, first in improvisation because it fits over just about anything. It fits over major chords, it fits over minor chords, it fits over a bunch of stuff. But now, say, for example, A blues scales, A, C, D, E, G. That also happens to be C major pentatonic. Major pentatonics are used in in folk tunes a lot and fiddle tunes a lot. You probably all know a bunch of fiddle tunes that use a major pentatonic scale, whether you know it or not. Now it's kind of cool though to be able to flip-flop if the song is right from in the song I created just for this. There's a section that's in A minor, a section that's in C. So you can quite easily use the same exact scale for both. And it's kind of a neat little twist. And because you know 5 minor pentatonic or blues scales, you also know 5 more major pentatonics. So you now know 10 scales to jam with that are very easy 2-fingered patterns. So I think it's cool. Like I said early on, I started to tell that I made up or discovered these for myself and just trying to make it super easy for my students who are a little bit frightened to begin with. Like, oh my goodness, I can't improvise. I don't know what to play, all these things. I made it as easy as possible so they'd have as little as possible to think about. That's the idea. So maybe you'll go there as well. So check out the Moonlight Drive tune and you'll see I'll provide a chart as well. Anything else is, we're running out of time here I think, but in the more advanced sense, now that you know some majors and minor pentatonics, you'll notice that in a couple spots the list of 10 overlap. And if you think in a parallel fashion, we now know G major, which is the same as E minor, and we also know G minor. So in some cases you can try over a major chord, you can try the major or the minor. They just are different flavors at this point. So that's kind of cool stuff you can try. When I played Zydeco a lot, I had about a 10-year stretch where I played almost nothing but Zydeco music, I would kind of mishmash both major and minor together at will and slide them around, slip sliding around all the time. That's kind of that sound. You kind of mix them all together weird. I wasn't a Zydeco pianist, by the way. I was a Zydeco fiddler. So, and looking even further forward, I can give you a little hint of where other things could lead to this kind of thinking. Is now that you know major pentatonics, in the Zydeco world, often I thought in major and just threw in some minor notes, and I changed scales at that point too. That's kind of level 2. It's a little more advanced, but that's where you can head with this. If you play the major pentatonic of each chord. So if you're in the key of G, say G, C, and D are the 3 main chords. In most music, the 1, 4, 5 is some of you know theory. You now know G major from your list of 10. You know C major, which is the same as A minor, from your list of 10. And you know D major, which is the same as B minor. So, when I played Zydeco, actually, if the band was on G, I'd play it in G. Throwing in some blues notes. If the band was on C chord, I'd play if they on D chord, I played D. That's right. Throw in some blues notes as spice. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can try. Maybe I've gone a little bit too long for our purposes here. I just want to introduce you to these 2 finger patterns that give you actually 10 scales you can jam with hardly even blinking in your brain, without hardly thinking. And that's the goal, because improvisation is never really as good when you're thinking a lot about it. So the less you think, the better you'll sound, the more fun you'll have, the more goosebumps you'll give and hopefully get. And the joy factor and your coolness factor will stay there. And again, with blues scales, you can stop right there and never learn another thing and have a career if you want as well. But I wanted this video to be able to introduce you to these super easy things. And I hope that helps. All right? So blues away. I'll see you next time.